you on right now. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
Good. We haven't
I
seen you
know
in a
it's
while.
been a minute. I know it's been a minute. I'm in the middle of moving, so I'm a little all over the place. But I'm not missing your live today.
Okay, well, thank
I
you.
have a
So what
question
can
for
I help you
you.
with?
Yes, but before that question, I need to ask you, congratulations on your new relationship. I'm
Thank
glad you found someone special,
I
and I'm
appreciate
very
it.
happy for you. Wish you
Thank
the
you.
best.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I was hearing. I heard this woman. Well, she's like a feminine coach. I'm not really too much into that, but I've been watching her for a minute now, and I heard her said something that I really wasn't too on board with. But I was like, you know what? I would love to ask you this because you're very open about this. So, what
Okay.
is your take on this? She said that whenever it is that you're in a relationship with someone,
Yeah.
if you feel that either maybe disrespected or there's something that that person does, the man that you're with, something that he does that you don't agree with, you
Yeah.
don't address it. You simply don't give your energy into it, and then you basically ignore it and then just keep moving along and it will disappear. What's your take on that?
Hmm. It's kind of interesting. So, well, let's try to examine this from a couple different portals. So, if someone exhibits bad behavior, we were just talking before about defensiveness or getting overly offended, or maybe they're righteous in the relationship. As an example, maybe they have anger issues. I mean, I guess it could vary on what the degree is. Um, Behavioral issues are something very difficult to work on, to accept, if they don't work on those behavioral issues themselves. So, so working on, and it's also maybe their personality is, driven that way, because behaviors can change. We can improve our behaviors if someone genuinely wants to work on their behaviors. Now, um, personality is kind of fixed, to some degree, but if someone's behaviors, they have the, like, listen, you thank you for bringing up my new relationship. I had a moment of road rage a couple of weeks ago when we were driving back from an event. Now, honestly, it was one of those, I just got fed up with traffic. I was just fed up. She was like cool with it. I just got into a bit of road rage, and not a heavy duty, but a little bit. And truthfully, it was unwarranted on my part. And she expressed a little disappointment in me. She expressed it. And I was able to look at it and go, she's right. I'm like, why am I overreacting over about 20? And it was about 20 or 30 minutes we were stuck on the freeway. Anyway, um, that's behavioral stuff. When we have differences with someone, you have to kind of ask yourself what might be major differences here. Well, I've got a list of differences. Okay. So one, we were talking about behaviors. And if someone's behavior is toxic to the relationship, if it's materially hurting the relationship, that's not something you should dismiss. Okay. In my opinion, you shouldn't dismiss that. But what about differences? Okay. A matter of fact, I coincidentally have a list of major and minor differences with couples. So, because let's examine those differences to see if that's something you should go, no big deal, or it's something important. So, for example, money management styles. It's one of the top reasons why people get divorced. I wouldn't dismiss that. Just to be in your feminine energy, I wouldn't dismiss that. Sex drive and intimacy. Man, that's the second most common reason for divorce. I don't think that's something you should dismiss. Conflict resolution. If one person is righteous, they feel the need to be right, and the other person is passive, I mean, I think if you can't learn to resolve conflict, that's not something you dismiss. Family and in-law boundaries. So one of the top difference in a relationship. If you're not on the same page about boundaries when it comes to family, friends, in-laws, and that sort of thing, that's something I wouldn't dismiss. Your long-term goals and life visions, your religious and spiritual beliefs. These are differences, mind you. These are differences couples have. Household responsibilities. Now, their minor differences might be, this is the list, okay? Preferred temperature in the home. Yeah, that one I probably wouldn't make a big deal out of it. Sleeping preferences, probably wouldn't make a big deal about it. Food taste and dietary habits, probably would. TV streaming preferences, driving styles, well, we talked about that. Social media habits, texting communication, personal organization, music taste, preference, pet preferences. You know, if it's material to the relationship, I actually believe that you should voice your feelings and concerns. If it's material to the relationship, if it's insignificant, yeah, I mean, you got to choose which battles you want to pick. Now, Giselle, I want to ask you something. Are you asking this because you're experiencing this right now, or was there something about that coach that were you in agreement or disagreement with that coach?
I was in totally disagreement with her, but I wanted to see if it was like a man's take, like somebody experienced as you, because you're a coach and you're very full of knowledge about this. But I completely disagree. I agree with what you're saying, and the first points that you brought are super important, and I believe that those should be discussed. And if you're respectful, if you're expressing your needs and what doesn't sit well with you, if you express it with love, and like you say, like you always express about your book, as long as it's sincere and deeply from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the wrong person. And I believe that when it comes from your soul and you express something with respect, I think that that's something that you should be able to talk about, because if not, that's just going to be lingering throughout the whole relationship. And then if you were to get in an argument with that other someone, that's going to be brought up because you didn't address it, and what you're arguing about won't even be anymore of what you're arguing. It will be because of that thing you didn't brought up like 3 months ago. So I think as long as there's respect, you should bring it up.
You know, I think I believe in being diplomatic. And that simply means, you know, speaking your truth, but do it with kindness, you know, and I call that being diplomatic. So when I shared with you during the story about my girlfriend making a reference to this kind of minor road rage I had, and she brought it up in a very loving way. She wasn't, now I wanted her to dismiss it. I'll be honest with you. I just kind of wanted her to dismiss it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful, though. I am so radically grateful that she challenged me a little bit, because I'm like, in that moment, I was like, God, I mean, and I'm looking at myself going, what the heck was going on? Why was I making a big deal about something so trivial? If she didn't bring it up, and by the way, my internals was, please just let this go. That's what I wanted her. I wanted her to accept me the way I was. I'm being a jackass, and I want you to accept this jackass. Okay. But she brought it up in a kind, loving way. And by putting a mirror to me, by putting a mirror up to what I was experiencing, it allowed me, she gave me a gift. She gave me a gigantic gift, because I could take ownership for my, you know, my asinine behavior, and it built deeper trust between the two of us. See, when you're silent, you don't build trust being silent. You just, all you do is shove something under the rug. And here's the problem with being silent. If you're silent, if you have duct tape on your mouth too long, resentment starts building up.
Yeah.
Resentment starts building up. Resentment starts building up. Resentment starts building up. And when there's too much resentment, it's going to implode at a later date. So So that's just my rough take on this. Look at human pair bonding is complicated. We humans are not good at this. We are not good at communicating our feelings. We're not good at conflict resolution skills. We're not good, like we're so radically different. See, it was different hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. You mated within your own tribe. Everybody was alike. Now people are so radically different that it's going to take more genuine intimacy to build those deep roots of trust with another person. And intimacy means intimacy. And if you can't share your truth from a loving place, it's going to most likely be problematic.
Absolutely. And I agree with what you just said. I mean, what she did, she actually, sometimes we do things and we don't realize them. And that's what our significant other is there for, to point those things out that we don't see as a big deal. But at the end of the day, it could be, like you did a little road rage. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people do that all the time. But the fact that she was able to bring it up to you and be like, hey, baby, like this is a little bit too much, or something, then that makes you realize, like, oh my gosh, this is not worth me getting mad about. Like, why waste my energy in something so simple like this? Like, if you're unstuck on the road, hey, put some music on, listen to some radio, just be light and make the best out of a bad situation. And I've learned that the hard way, in a way, because I'm very intense sometimes when it comes to expressing myself. I try to be as diplomatic as I can. I have to thank that to my mom. She corrects me all the time. But I can be a little blunt when I say something. Like, if something bothers me, I will tell you and I won't sugarcoat it. And now I've been learning to switch it up a little and be like, okay, maybe if I say it this way, it won't sound like a demand, more of a suggestion, and maybe you won't feel attacked. Because sometimes when I say something, I may sound like I'm attacking that person, but I'm not. It's just, that's how I speak. But not necessarily the person I'm telling it to will see it that way. So I'm correcting myself on those things too. So it's a work process.
Well, it's interesting because my girlfriend, she always starts a sentence, so I'm curious. So she goes, I'm curious, what's coming up for you that you seem to get agitated? Like she brought it up, like, by coming from a place that, like, she was asking what was going on inside of you emotionally, because you seem like you're kind of exaggerating what's going on. And I'm like, she went to my emotional state. And again, I wanted, like, the inner child in me was like, just let me have me be. But she did it in a kind, loving way. She didn't press it. She said it once. That was it. And I could tell she was bothered by it. I could read the room. Like, she wasn't, and she didn't do it. All she said was, hey, checked in with you because you seem to be getting agitated over a bigger deal than what's going on. I could tell she was, like, I don't want to say disappointed in me, but like, road rage is not attractive. It's not attractive. And I'm like, I want her to always feel attracted by me. So it gave me an opportunity to look inward. So Giselle, thanks so much for asking the question.
You're welcome. And thank you. And I also wanted to say, the past relationships only prepare us for our next one. And you have been prepared to be here in this current relationship. And I really wish you the best. And, just take things lightly. Just let things flow, go with it, and don't let little things get to you, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Giselle. I appreciate the love. Can I give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug?
Absolutely. Right back at you, Jonathan. And thank you so much for having me. God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Giselle was kind enough to share with us a really interesting conversation centered around should we stuff our feelings and emotions if it's trivial, or do we speak up if it's something really important? And I'm really grateful she brought this up, because I think this is a significant thing to address and recognize that, I believe that it's important to speak up if it's material to the relationship, because if you stuff your emotions, you stuff your feelings, you could find yourself in circumstances where resentment builds up later. Hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. And so post a question below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. All right, this is going to be our last question for the evening. We have R. Warren. Question: I've been dating a guy for 9 months. Don't have butterflies when I'm with him, but enjoy his company. We have conflict on household things, probably because we were both set in our ways. Any suggestions? Well, you got to, again, coming back to the previous conversation about, you got to pick your battles, okay? So here's the thing. Household chores and duties are something important to recognize within relationship. Now, I have a dear friend who's kind of a neat freak, and his wife, he recently got married, is what he calls the hurricane. He certainly has made requests of her to improve her cleaning abilities. And I think he's just surrendered because the quality of the relationship exceeds the need to have, absolute neatness. I know in my current relationship, I have a propensity to put the forks down. She likes the forks up. And when we clean dishes, I said, this is kind of my preference. It's kind of funny because she actually adapted to what I desire. And now I've readapted, and I'm like, you know what? If this is the way you like it, then I'm putting the forks up when I do the dishes at her place. Certainly, being on the same page with one another when it comes to household duties is really important, because how you manage a home is a reflection of the relationship. I think the most important thing is to have conversations and come up with agreements with one another. I think it's great that you don't have this extensive butterflies, but you enjoy each other's company. I think that's so critically important, when you can enjoy each other's company. And certainly, I believe I'd rather be happy than right. So focus on things you can resolve together from a place of joy and happiness, versus being rigid in it's my way or the highway. I find those tend to be the best relationships. Is that sinking in? Is this resonating with you? I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared on everything. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's links to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's links to get the books I recommend, all listed below. You can follow me on social media as well. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm asking you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Patricia. I want to thank Trisha for Tasha for the $5 super sticker. I want to thank Roller Girl. I want to thank Giselle for being in the house. Giselle, if you're still on, post. I'd be curious to know who that coach was. Post it in the comments. R. Warren, Rhonda, Linda, everybody, thanks for the love. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Stacy, bye now.